As we've reported, plasma from recovered COVID-19 patients is now being used as treatment for those who are severely ill all across the country, but also right here in our area.
Yeah, we got Mandy Breu, the Director of Marketing at the Kentucky Blood Center, joining us by phone this morning to explain more. Thank you so much for Mandy for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Last week, we reported that the Kentucky Blood Center and Baptist Health and UK Healthcare were all partnering up in this effort. Tell us more about how this is working and what's being done with this partnership to help.
Well, so we are definitely partnering with both Baptist Health and really any of our hospital partners right now to try to draw plasma off of recovered COVID-19 patients. We've been fortunate enough to have donated plasma come from 4 different patients already, and that's being taken to local hospitals to try to help critically ill patients. The belief is that the antibodies that the recovered patient has built in their plasma will actually help the critically ill patients start to recover.
Oh my gosh. I mean, that kind of goes into this next question. I mean, why specifically plasma versus maybe anything else that you guys could use?
You know, I believe the antibodies live in the plasma, and so they have done this type of treatment before with Ebola and SARS, and so they had sort of past evidence that this treatment would work. It's experimental, and obviously we can't necessarily point to this being something that's going to make that patient better. With the first transfusion that was done a couple of weeks ago, the immediate feedback we got from the hospital was that the patient had not deteriorated or gotten any worse, which at that point when someone's critically ill is actually a great sign. So, you know, we don't know in the long run how this is going to play out, but we know that there's hopefully a benefit to these patients, and so we want to do everything we can to help the hospitals with their, you know, patients who are suffering the most.
You mentioned 4 people had already donated, and when that happened, we didn't have as many patients recovering. At this point, we have more patients recovering. How can we see that expectation kind of rise as more people are able to become eligible to donate that plasma?
Absolutely. Our hope is that every day that passes, we have more people kind of entering that zone of being symptom-free. What we're telling people is, if you've had a positive COVID-19 test, absolutely come onto our website, click on our COVID banner, and fill out the form for convalescent plasma donation. If you've had a negative test already that's proven that you're recovered from the disease, all the better. Please do that today, because those are the folks we can start drawing from immediately. But even if you haven't had a positive test, we're encouraging people to go on there. Obviously things are moving pretty rapidly, but they are working to develop an antibody test that would actually be able to test the patient or the recovered patient's blood to see if they did in fact have COVID, even if they couldn't get a test. And so our hope would be to start collecting those folks' information as well, so when antibody testing becomes available, we have a much larger pool of possible plasma donors.
This is just so fascinating, Mandy. Walk us through sort of the process of donating plasma and what that entails for maybe a lot of folks that have never done this before.
So yeah, plasma donation is not typically something people come here for. We typically do whole blood, we do platelets, and we do double red blood cells. So this is a little bit different, and we're kind of doing this as a special operation, but what would happen is that people would reach out to us with interest. We've also been, the hospitals have helped us identify patients. Our doctor, our medical director here, Dr. Williams, does advanced screening with the person, because you have to still pass regular blood donation screening standards. And then we have to obtain a negative test. And so what we've been able to do is work with the hospitals that need the plasma to conduct another swab of this patient if they haven't had one, to ensure 100% that they're negative before we bring them into our center. And then a plasma donation is very similar to a platelet donation. It's a machine, it's called apheresis, and the machine actually extracts the person's blood, takes out the plasma that it needs, and actually returns the patient's red blood cells to them. So it's actually a process that is, I guess, less depleting to the patient. They get fluid while they're doing the donation, and the donation typically takes less than an hour. So a longer donation process than whole blood, but it's certainly, most people have said, a very easy process for them.
Mandy, on top of all of this going on, obviously things are constantly changing because of the virus. You guys are doing the plasma stuff. You're still in need of blood donations as well. That's still a critical need, correct?
So I would say we are not in a critical need stage only because we have had such a great response from Kentuckians across the state. Blood donation, we canceled upwards of 200 drives, and we were very concerned. And we sort of put a call out, and people heard the call, and we have seen amazing numbers of people coming in to donate blood. What I would say, though, is, blood has a shelf life, and so we need to continue to see people making appointments and coming in to donate every day. And then those people who donated when all of this first happened in March will be eligible again in the middle of May and end of May, and we want to see those folks come back, because really blood donation, to be successful, we need to see regular folks coming periodically to donate blood. And so we're really hoping that all these new donors that came for the first time in March come back and donate blood again to help us through the summer, which is always a tough time for us, and I'm certain with the state of the world right now, we have no guarantees. So we would love to see all those folks come back out. And if you're eligible, we just say make an appointment and fill out your Quick Pass online and come to donate when you're eligible.
Very good. Now, Mandy, you mentioned things are just changing so quickly. I mean, we are now, I think, just over a month into the first case that we had here in Kentucky. Has it been challenging for you guys trying to adapt to the new technology and new changes that you guys are now faced with?
I would say every day has been different, and I feel like we all could say that in any line of work. We really, like I said, were very cautious, and we were expecting major blood shortages. And honestly, we've been overwhelmed and touched by just people who are willing to come do something in the face of this national disaster. But yes, I mean, every day changes. The FDA is kind of relaxing some restrictions on blood donation, which is great. It's going to allow a lot more donors to come out. The problem is we've got to get our software upgraded to allow those people to be processed. So there's something new every day. I just kind of am on the tips of my toes every day waiting to see what might happen. But the really great thing, and like you said, is just the plasma donation is fascinating, and I was here on Saturday during a donation, and it was just really touching to see people who had fought this disease and had done well, and then the first thing they wanted to do was be able to give back to people.
I love that. Gosh.
Mandy, thank you so much. We love that you took time to chat with us, and we thank you guys for all the work you're doing as well.
No problem. Thank you guys so much.
All right. Take care, Mandy. Oh my gosh, this is just fascinating to me. I'm seeing how they're adapting to things that are constantly changing. In fact, we actually just learned this morning in Beaumont Hospital in Michigan, they're going to begin conducting blood tests of their own to its own employees and patients. That's just according to ABC News. It's part of a study of COVID-19 antibodies and is the largest of its kind in the country now.
Yeah, and while experimental treatments are underway, there's still no approved vaccine to treat coronavirus, so anything to try and help, right?
Oh my gosh. We'll post all those details from Mandy on our Facebook page, Good Day Kentucky, as well.